back to my channel. I'm back in the video, and in this video I'm going to talk about Megan Thee Stallion. Now, the reason why I even thought to bring up this topic is because of everything that has been going on with her and Carl Crawford. So I'm not entirely sure, because okay, I know that she was trying to get out of her contract with her label. Now, I am not sure if that happened, because I saw something that said TMZ confirms that she got removed, or she finally was able to leave her label. But then there were other people saying that wasn't entirely true. So I'm actually going to see if I can look up real quick what exactly happened with that. I know she had a lawsuit. She had a lawsuit with them. Just give me 1 second. Okay, never mind. It's just saying that she's close to winning her lawsuit, which hasn't actually won it. See, I hate when the internet be spreading false information. Okay, so she still is under her label. She has not completely left her label yet. But anyway, getting back to the point at hand, right? So what brought this up was the apology, right? Carl Crawford issued an apology to Megan Thee Stallion. He admitted a lot of things in that apology, and so I'm actually going to read that apology for you guys. Okay, so Carl Crawford did an interview with TMZ with the new CEO of the now what? My phone is tweaking. But yeah, so he did an interview with TMZ with the new the new president, new CEO, same thing, of the label that Megan is a part of. And they briefly spoke about Megan Thee Stallion, because apparently him and Megan Thee Stallion hadn't spoken since 2019. And so he says, yeah, that's unfortunate, too, as well, because I never wanted to have a situation where I was going back and forth on the internet. Kind of like a couple months ago, I just wanted to revamp the company and bring in a whole new fresh face look. We're trying to rebrand the company and give us a new look. Our reputation was real bad out there. I just wanted to go directly at that situation and just kind of start from fresh. The music business is a contact sport, but the business of music is a contract sport. We don't have disdain for anybody. Meg, Rock Nation, at the end of the day, they are business. They are a business conglomerate, and they are business people. We don't have any discrepancies towards any of them. I think it became more of an emotional thing from the beginning, not realizing that I haven't spoken to my artist, whom I found, since she went into the meeting. Like I would be in my feelings at first. Sorry, the grammar is not the best in this. But yeah, so basically he kind of admitted that, things kind of went left with him and Megan Thee Stallion, and that I guess he regrets how things ended up with her, and that he doesn't have any ill feelings towards Megan Thee Stallion. And so it's interesting because when he did this apology, as well as a few other individuals that we'll get into, people are bringing up the fact that ever since, this Tory Lanez situation finally got cleared up in court, you're starting to see a lot of people starting to backpedal, right? And I feel like Megan is finally getting her good karma, and she's finally getting her just due, and now she is finally being vindicated in all these situations, because for so long people were people have been giving Megan Thee Stallion a really hard time with every situation that she's been in. She tends to get the most hate and the most backlash in these situations, especially with the Tory Lanez thing. I mean, we don't really need to go into detail about it, but it's clear as day that when that situation happened, people were very anti-Meg. It was awful. It was disgusting. People literally, people who weren't even checking for Megan Thee Stallion like that at first went out of their way to just spread hate and just be rude and mean. And it just was so crazy how with that situation, people immediately jumped to Tory Lanez's side, even though there wasn't any evidence in support of him, really. Again, not until later, but I'm talking about in the initial thing of all this happening, when it was just hearsay, and it was just her side and his side, and there was no evidence yet. People for some reason decided to just jump onto Tory's side, Which is crazy because Tory Lanez, I'm not saying he didn't have fans, but it's crazy to see how much his fan base grew with this whole situation, because people wanted to hate Megan that badly, and they're like, oh no, we're gonna stand by Tory no matter what. You know, it's just crazy how much people have doubted Meg from the beginning, and how much people tend to doubt, you know, not only just women but black women when they're coming out against some of your favorite artists or your favorite people in the industry. You know, they deal with so much backlash from the public, and they're having to go through so much mental strife trying to defend themselves. And, you know, I can imagine how much, you know, that affected Megan, especially considering that, again, it seems like her circle of people haven't really been the best, you know, and then her, you know, her mother, and I think her grandmother too, passed away. Like, she doesn't really have, like, family and friends like that. And then you have her one best friend that she had from college, Kelsey. And, you know, y'all know what happened with that. Like, she was involved with the whole thing, and now, like, they're not cool anymore. And so it's just, I can just only imagine, like, how much, like, this took a toll on her. And I don't blame her at all for being in hiding. This was entirely too much. The past, like, couple of years with all of this has just been entirely too much. We've all been sick of it. I think we've been just as sick of it as she has been. But even, again, just to see how people, weirdly enough, because, I don't know, I think for me, and I think for a good amount of people, like, we all were kind of like, look, just let the courts handle it at this point. Like, I am not here to be the judge or the jury. Just let the courts handle it, and we'll see. You know, there was evidence that came out, especially that phone call, that showed, like, without a doubt, Tory Lanez was guilty. And so to now know that he was guilty this whole time, but people have been just so, like, bullying this girl, and just finding every single excuse to call her a liar, and, like, people were just so sure that Megan was lying, and it's like, for what? There are still people who think that she didn't get shot, even though there's photos, there's hospital records, there's literal, like, the way that people are kind of, like, choosing to ignore the facts and the information that's out there to support or to not support certain people. That, I think, is what's most frustrating about the internet, is people like to pick and choose what they want to believe, even if all the facts are presented to them. And that's the other thing too, is like, people will have a very strong opinion about something, and even if they are presented with different information, they will choose to ignore that to stay true to their opinion. And I think that's very ignorant. I think it's very dumb. Like, at the end of the day, wrong is wrong and right is right. And it's like, I really don't understand why people have made it their life's mission to hate Megan Thee Stallion. And so I don't blame her at all for taking a break from everything and kind of disappearing and doing her. And I hope that she is doing well and that she is healing. Because, yeah, like, just how some of the music industry as well has treated her in all of this, and how they were just so, because even as a celebrity, right, you would think, okay, let me not pick a side, because I don't really know what's what, and there's a lot of things that are, you know, taking place that we don't really know, like, what the full story is and what the full context is. So let me not put out any opinions out there, because if I'm wrong, it's going to hurt my career and it's going to bite me in the ass. Unfortunately, there were a few people that came out and pretty much was, you know, suggesting that Megan was lying. And they were kind of more so on Tory Lanez's side. Even I remember when the trial first started, people were saying, like, oh, Tory's gonna win this. There's no way that Megan is gonna win this case. And then she did. One being 50 Cent. 50 Cent had spoke out, and I think he had expressed that he thought that Megan Thee Stallion was lying, or that, you know, he was in defense of Tory Lanez. And then 50 Cent ended up apologizing, I think rather recently. I think he was on, like, an interview or something, or a podcast, and he ended up apologizing to Megan Thee Stallion. So now we have 2 apologies. But I honestly think Megan Thee Stallion deserves more apologies. And I'm side-eyeing the people who, you know, had something to say or wanted to throw shade towards her and have yet to own the fact that they were wrong. Drake being one of those people. Granted, Drake never came out with, like, an official statement, but we all know what he said in that song. We all know what he was implying. And that, to me, just made me look at Drake real side-eye. Like, you are corny for that. Like, why would you even, like, do that? Like, you didn't think you were gonna get backlash for that? And so, like, you know, that whole thing with Drake was weird. And even Joe Budden. Joe Budden is so again, flip floppy, because I remember in the beginning of all of this, like he expressed how unsure he was about the whole Megan and Tory thing, which he should have just kept it as that, like, oh, I don't know what's what, I don't know what's going on. But then he kind of kept pushing it in the direction of, oh, Tory's gonna win this. I don't even think Tory had the gun. Looks like Kelsey had something to do with it. And I really don't know. None of us know what the specific details were in terms of Kelsey's fingerprints or DNA being on that gun. We don't know. But again, we heard, like, to me, that phone call recording in the jail solidifies it all. He did it. He didn't say we. He said, like she's not gonna forgive me for this. Like, can't believe I was so, like, he admitted it in the phone call. So I don't see how anybody could eat. But again, we didn't know that at that point. But it was funny when the phone call did come out, and when he was officially charged with those crimes, that Joe wanted to kind of circle back and be like, oh, he's guilty. But yeah, man, I don't know. I just think that the whole industry at this point we need to reconcile this, because if I was Megan, man, I wouldn't even want to do this no more. Like, it's entirely too much, and just, it's just not fair to her. And it really does make me question, if something like this were to occur again, and it were to involve some of our favorite artists, how the public would respond, right? Because again, it's like with artists and celebrities, it seems like some of them can never do no wrong, and a lot of times it's the men. Like, these men get away with so much, and people will still ride for them, not hold them accountable, and support them, and will even antagonize and bully those that they have abused. We see it with Tory Lanez. We see it with Chris Brown. We see it with Trey Songz. There's so many problematic people in the music industry, and even in the entertainment, just in all these industries. Like, there are some horrible people out there with power and influence, and it's a shame to see how hard people are willing to ride for these individuals. Now, again, if you want to continue to listen to their music or whatever, cool, but just the public scrutiny and bullying and the backlash that these victims get is ridiculous. And again, I don't expect the public necessarily to. I just want people to back off of Megan. That's really what I want. I want people to leave Megan alone. That's essentially what I want moving forward for her. They just leave her alone. And in the event that this happens again, I would hope not, because we see what transpires. But if something like this were to happen again, I just think that we all kind of need to just put a pause and say, look, let the courts handle it, let the evidence come out, and then we can go from there. Because it's just so crazy to me how y'all will just ride hard for a person even if they seem to be dead wrong. If I'm gonna pick a side and not know what's going on, I would rather side with the victim than the accused abuser. Now, it's okay. Again, I would actually recommend to not pick a side at all and just let it ride out. But if you are going to pick a side, why are you picking the side of the abuser or the accused abuser? That part I don't get. Especially if you don't know him in person, which 99% of y'all don't know Tory Lanez in person. And it even came out that Tory Lanez has had a past of being abusive towards other people. He's gotten into fights with people. I think August Alsina came out and said that he's gotten into an altercation with him. Like, he has a history of being aggressive and abusive towards other people, but yet that still wasn't enough to convince y'all that he was capable of doing something like this. I'll say all that to say, leave Megan alone. I do think she is owed some apologies from certain people, like I said, like Drake and several other people that have publicly, said that they are not on her side. And have just made things more difficult for her. Like, even with the baby, like, her and the baby literally were cool. They were making music together. And then all of a sudden, he started being all buddy-buddy with Tory Lanez. And it's like, really? And now I'm really, because I know Tory Lanez is, got locked up. But now I'm really curious if some of these artists that were subtly in support of Tory Lanez by working with him while all this was going on, I wonder how they're going to move differently now. I wonder if now they are going to start, trying to get on Meg's good side. I wonder if they're just going to cut ties altogether with Tory Lanez. Cause I can't imagine any artist working with Tory Lanez at this point. Like, you would literally have to like not care about your career at this point to be in support of Tory Lanez. And you still got some people that are, and but I do think it's starting to die down a little bit. I think more people are starting to support Megan more, which is good because Meg needs that. She needs the love and support from her supporters. But yeah, it's just very, very disappointing. Like I said, even with the Carl Crawford thing, that had nothing to do with Tory Lanez, but even with that, it's like this to now see the backpedaling of these people who were so anti-Meg, to see them now come around and be like, oh, I'm so sorry, like I was in the wrong. Like, yeah, I do feel really bad for Megan and the way that she's been treated by the public, by the industry, by her peers, by her friend that she went to college with. And again, Megan, I'm not saying Megan is a perfect person either. I mean, I can even say too, like when Megan, it seemed like some of the things that came out with her and Kelsey, it seemed like she wasn't really a good friend to Kelsey like that either. And so I'm not saying that she is without fault, but regardless of what Megan Thee Stallion did, it didn't warrant her getting shot in the foot. It didn't warrant her getting bullied online. Like, she doesn't deserve any of that. And for y'all to even think that she does deserve that, or that anyone deserves to get shot, it's crazy to me. Because, like, even when with these shootings and these, all the stuff that happens with these cops with, unarmed, I'm not trying to compare the two, but I'm just saying, even, it sounds like people with that logic too, of like, oh, well, you should have just not committed a crime. Like, they're justifying the abuse and people getting shot because they committed a crime. It kind of parallels this to where it's like with Megan, it's like, oh, well, she lied about sleeping with Tory, and, she did Kelsey wrong, and so, if she got shot, then she got shot. That's not how that works. That is not how that works. Like, the punishment is not equaling, not even the crime. Megan Thee Stallion did not commit a crime. Tory Lanez did, but y'all somehow tried to justify it, or tried to say that, like, I don't know. It's just people's logic is off. And I can't seem to comprehend it. But, yeah. Anyway, y'all leave Megan alone. Y'all see that she was telling the truth. And, yeah, I hope that she comes back well-rested, healed. And hopefully we get some new music from her. But, yeah. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you guys go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And I'll see you guys in the next video.